What a day it was yesterday for the Jet fan.
What a disgrace. Let me just say this before we even get into all the nonsense here.
Yeah.
Thank God Tennessee won that game. As they went out of the Jet game, CBS, and went to the Tennessee game, thank you, Gary Kubiak, for going for the 2-point conversion, even after a false start penalty. And thank you, Tennessee, for winning, because it put me totally out. I would have been so ticked, bro, if Tennessee lost. And then, of course, everything else that the Jets needed to happen did happen in the 4 o'clock games. I would have really been through the wall.
I am a fool because I had the 2 TVs set up, obviously one of them with the Titan-Texan game, the other one with the Jet game, which, by the way, going into Sunday, were the 2 games that concerned me the most. I was confident.
Absolutely. Me too.
I was very confident about 4 o'clock.
Absolutely right.
And I said this on Twitter before the day started. I said, if the Jets are alive at 4:15,
they're going to make it.
They're going to make the playoffs.
And they would have.
They would have.
Yep.
I mean, I was confident about that, but I'm a fool because I was even more nervous about the Texan-Titan game than I was the Jet game. You know, early in this game, up 10-6. I'm actually thinking
10-6. It was 10-3.
10-3 and then 10-6.
They gave them 3 points before the end of the half.
Oh, no
with
kidding.
9 seconds left.
And how many times have we seen that where the Jets they trade turnovers with their opponent and their opponent ends up getting points out of it?
Unbelievable.
It seems like we've seen that a lot this season.
Oh, my God.
But I was actually, because I'm an idiot, confident, I don't know why, that this team was going to win this game. And you know what really killed me? The field goal that put the Jets up 10-3. Let's think about that drive. How many stupid penalties the Jets had on that drive? They had a false start by DeBrickashaw. They had 2 false starts by DeBrickashaw, including one on third down.
I said this Friday. I'm going to say it again. It is a joke that DeBrickashaw-Ferguson made the Pro Bowl.
No, he's not a Pro Bowler. Not this year. Not this year.
Joke.
He had 2 false starts on that drive. Matthew Mulligan, who's a joke. They should get rid of him immediately.
Matthew Mulligan.
He's awful.
How is he on the team, this guy?
Well, he shouldn't be after Sunday.
I know he made that one catch where I could have caught the ball on that play with Curley, but please.
He had a false start on that drive. Wayne Hunter, who's got to go, he had a false start on this drive. They were lucky they ended up with 3 points out of that thing.
You're right.
They should have gotten 7. I mean, that game should have easily been a 2-possession. Should have been 14-3 with about 3 minutes to go in the first half of this game. And after that drive, when they get penalties all over the place, you're looking at this football team and you're saying, is this team, even in Week 17 against the lousy Dolphins, is this team going to wake up? And they just couldn't.
Nope.
And it got even more disgraceful in the second half.
And again, just like the Giant game, they had every opportunity, to still pull the game out. And I'll tell you, before we get into all the other stuff, 16-10, they get a nice play. They're driving for the go-ahead score late in the game, but it's still about 3.5 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. They run that shovel pass to LaDainian, and he gets down to the 9-yard line. They got a 2nd and 5 on the 9-yard line. Now, they've run the ball very well all day. They really did. Tomlinson ran it. Green ran it decently. They ran for about 130 yards in this game total. 2nd and 5 from the 9-yard line.
And they're throwing.
Throws the football. I'm like, what are you doing? And he had, I think it was Curley, had him open in the corner. He misses him. And then the next play is the intercepted screen pass or dump off or whatever you want to call it, check down to Sean Green. I mean, come on.
That was abysmal. It was, and look, let's be honest about this. The Jets were lucky because on 3rd and 9, they got a very favorable call on Jeremiah Bell, which probably shouldn't have been called.
I saw a bunch of bogus roughing the passes yesterday, and that was one of them.
That was brutal.
Yep.
And offensively, the blame goes everywhere. All right? There's nobody that's going to be exonerated from this. Everybody. The quarterback's decisions are god-awful.
Terrible.
And his statistics would tell you that he took a step forward this season. If you watch him every game like we have and like most of everybody listening has, he has not taken that step forward.
Absolutely not.
His decision-making is awful. You mentioned his 3 interceptions all come on checkdowns, including 2 to Randy freaking Starks.
Unbelievable.
I mean, and that interception of Mitchell, which just sealed it. I mean, that's your season.
Well,
that's your quarterback. That's your offensive line. And that's your coordinator who, without a shadow of a doubt, needs to go.
Yeah, he's got to go. Schottenheimer's got to go. They have a 3 o'clock press conference. I guess Tannenbaum is going to be there with Rex. And we're hearing that organizational changes are going to be announced here. Schottenheimer's got to go. Not only not running the ball enough, which we've seen all year and in big spots all year for no reason, but, bro, There is no. Now, I don't know what the reason is. Is it the quarterback? Is it the offensive line? Is it the receivers not getting downfield? Whatever you want to say. There is no downfield passing game. And sure, he's throwing interceptions on checkdowns because they're all over it. I mean, the Giants were all over that last week. And Miami was too. They know he can't throw the ball down the field. He's not going to throw the ball down the field.
I mean, I think the statistic of the amount of receptions, the amount of completions above 30 yards is like 10 this season.
Ridiculous.
It's a microscopic number. And you ask who deserves the blame on it? Well, a lot of the blame goes to the offensive line because they can't protect him.
Yep.
But a lot of the blame has to go to the quarterback.
Of course.
And here's what happened with this disastrous 8-8 season. Look, Rex is not going to be fired.
No.
They're not going to get rid of Mark Sanchez.
No.
Nor should they.
No.
But what happened for both of these gentlemen is the honeymoon is over.
Amen.
For both of them.
Yep.
And what Rex accomplished in his first 2 years, we have cited it a lot. What this quarterback has accomplished in his first 2 years, he's a winner, 4 playoff wins all on the road. I'm not saying they should be forgotten, but now there's something else on the resume. Because now you have an 8-8 collapse season on that resume for both the head coach and the quarterback. So we're not going to sit here and be irrational and say, get rid of Ryan, get rid of Sam. I'm not saying that. But they are on the hot seat. And now 2012 is a monstrous year for both of them.
I completely agree. Huge year for both of them. And, this turned out to be just another one of the classic Jet collapses that we've seen over the years for so many different coaches. They were 8-5. And had control of their playoff destiny, and they crap out and lose the last 3 games of the season. We've seen this many, many times before with the Jets. I won't get into all of that. But you're right. The honeymoon is over. Next year, I don't want to hear Rex predicting Super Bowl. I know he still said Super Bowl after this game. I don't want to hear about the Super Bowl. Go out there and coach your team. You got a lot of things you got to do in the offseason. You got a lot of areas that have to be improved with this football team. And I don't want to hear him predicting, I got the best team and we're winning the Super Bowl this year. I don't want to hear it.
Well, Rex is confused about a lot of things. There's a lot of things he said after this game that rubbed me the wrong way. And let me start off with one other thing. And this regards Santonio Holmes.
You know what?
I was embarrassed by Rex Ryan's handling of this because Rex Ryan played dumb after the game.
You got to be kidding. He didn't know what was going on?
You know what?
Come on.
You're the head coach.
Come on, Rex.
You're the head coach, okay? Santonio Holmes was pulled from this game. For you to stand there at the podium and say, well, I didn't even know. It wasn't my decision. You're the head coach.
Yep.
You make the decisions. You have to make these. You can't play dumb on the podium. Basically exonerating
And let me
yourself.
say this too. And the play calling this year, some of the game plans, that's on Rex too. How about Rex saying to Schottenheimer, hey, you know what, Brian, you know what we're doing? We are not throwing the football here in this spot. You hear what I'm saying? I mean, Rex acts like, I got nothing to do with the offense. I'm just walking away from it. No, what, are you kidding me?
You cannot be a front runner as head coach. You can't be a front runner. When things are going well, hey, look at me, I'm smiling, my defense, my this, my that. Things go badly, it's all Schottenheimer. I had nothing to do with Holmes being pulled from this game. I don't know what you're talking about. What? Santonio Holmes? Like you don't know anything about it. Number 2, Rex. I agree with you, Joe. It ticked me off during the lockout when he's standing there saying we're going to win a Super Bowl.
Not anymore.
He didn't know what was on his roster. Rex, your goal obviously is to win a Super Bowl. Because then he went on this whole rant about, well, you're a loser if that's not your... Every head coach's goal is to win a Super Bowl. But you don't have to talk about how you're going to do it every single season, especially when you put up an 8-8 season, don't even make the playoffs. So your goal can still be to win the Super Bowl. Nobody's saying that shouldn't be your goal. What we are saying is for you to keep talking about how we're the best, we're this, we're that, especially during the lockout when you didn't even know what your roster was, you got to pipe down now. Got to pipe down.
You got to.
Because for the first 2 years, you kind of backed it up by getting to title games. I know you didn't win a Super Bowl. You had a great amount of success. But now you put in a dud effort. Your team went 8-8. So now the talking has got to stop.
And I look at it this way too, bro. 8-8, they're a mediocre team. They weren't even that. By the end of the year, they were a bad team. They were a mediocre team for the first 13 games of the season. The last 3 games, they were a bad football team.
Yeah.
And Santonio Holmes... what he did yesterday was despicable. It was despicable. And Rex made a mistake making this guy a captain. It's certainly come out in the wash now. And let's not forget that the beginning and the end this season was on Santonio Holmes.
Absolutely.
Who basically handed the Eagles that game 3 weeks ago. Let's be real.
No question. You're 100. When you talk about the GOATs of how this season went wrong, Santonio Holmes is at the top of the list. He wrecked the Eagle game single-handedly.
And let me say this, too. And obviously wrecked the locker room, because when you hear what was said by LaDainian Tomlinson after this game, Brandon Moore after this game, remember he had those issues with Brandon Moore earlier in the year, this guy was a problem all year in the locker room.
Absolutely.
All year.
And that's the reason why the Jets got him for a fifth-round pick. They got him for a fifth-round pick because the Pittsburgh Steelers, despite Santonio Holmes being a Super Bowl hero, said, we don't want to deal with it. And we all knew that when the Jets acquired Santonio Holmes. You knew that, the reason they brought him in is that he's a little bit of a problem. A lot of times in sports, when you get a real good player without giving up that much,
for a bag of balls,
there's a reason behind it. Yeah? There's always a reason. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult for the Jets to bring Santonio Holmes back. Now, I know he was given a huge contract. We all know about the big plays he has the potential to make. We saw what he did in the Super Bowl. But I think with the way this locker room got wrecked, with the way he quit on this football team, with his selfishness, with the garbage he pulled in Philadelphia, with the way he also wrecked that football game, with everything that's happened over the last 3 weeks with Santonio Holmes, they cannot bring him back.
I agree with you.
He's one of those guys that has to go, because I think one of the biggest problems the Jets face this year, besides the obvious, the offensive line, the quarterback,
besides the on-the-field problems.
Yeah, besides all of that, this locker room was infected like it wasn't the 2 previous years when they had Alan Faneca and Damian Woody and Chris Jenkins and Tony Richardson, when they had guys like that. They had class guys.
Jericho Cotchery.
How could I forget him? Thank you for bringing Jericho Cotchery. You look at this locker room, that was one of the big differences now looking back on this season.
No question about it. And there's a lot of work that's got to be done. As I said, there's going to be a press conference at 3 o'clock today. Tannenbaum's going to be with Rex. Like I said, we're hearing that organizational changes are going to be made. To me, the first move is Schottenheimer goes. He's got to go.
No question.
That's it. Done. Finished. It's over for this guy. The Giant game last week, I said this Friday, bro, it was like he had a bet on the Giants. That's how bad. Throwing 59 passes in that game against the Giants, he should have been fired right then and there. But he's got to go, number one.
Joe, let me tell you something. I bet you would agree with this. Let's go back. I just want to make one comment about that Giant game. We were only, you were on for one time.
I haven't seen you since that game, really.
You know what play call ticked me off more than anything else?
Which one?
The play call that made me, I couldn't sleep at night.
Let me guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Santonio Holmes reverse on 2nd and 4 up 7-3.
That wasn't even it.
Okay,
that was bad,
one?
though.
That was bad. Which one?
They got away with it.
Which one?
When they threw a bomb on 4th and 1. Remember they got away with it?
Oh, yeah, they got a penalty. The Giants had I forget what the penalty was.
I think it was
the Giants
like
had a penalty.
An illegal, something like that. And, they got away with it, so we all forget about it.
Right,
like,
right.
That play, even though they got away with it, was that's the moment I said, this guy's got to go. How can you possibly call on 4th and
But he never throws the ball down the field.
You never throw down the field. It's 4th and like half a yard, Joe. Run the freaking ball, and he's throwing a bomb.
Yeah.
And they got away with it, so I know. Oh, Evan, stop complaining. It doesn't matter that they got away. It was the stupidest play call this man's ever come up with.
It's unbelievable.
All the millions of passes he decided to dial up against the Giants, that's the play that, as it happened, I got up from my chair and I was like, this guy's a moron. I mean, he's not a moron. We know that. He's a smart guy. But that play call was so moronic.
Unbelievable.
I couldn't.
Bro, the play calling in that game was the worst I've seen in the years Schottenheimer's been here, because to have Sanchez, when they were running the ball in the Giant game effectively, which they were, and to have him throw 59 passes, when they were in that game, when it was 2014, it was a miracle that they're still in that game against the Giants 2 weeks ago. They get every replay challenge. Every replay call went their way. Everything. They got the ball down only 6 at midfield with 5 minutes to go, and it's 3 straight passes and a sack on 3rd down? Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Incredible.
You had to see me when that was going on.
All of us Jet fans had the same reaction.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable.